That was...
They are daring the government. It's a protest. It's saying, you are not obeying the Constitution, which guarantees me my freedom of association, my freedom to express myself, and my freedom of movement.
If it's 1990, for me, something very big stands out. And maybe
you were born or something?
Is that the beginning of Saba Saba?
Yeah.
And Saba Saba being a pivotal turning point in this country. Yeah. But on your story, do those two merge? Do those two? You know why I love
even
your story?
Even Saba Saba, I was part of it, but I never went to Kamukunji for fear of being arrested and molested in the cells. So I stayed behind.
Okay.
You know, women carried different risks.
Yes.
So I didn't.
And as you rightfully told us what was happening in campus.
Yeah.
The rapes and the abuse.
I didn't go to Saba Saba.
Okay.
I stayed behind.
I want, even when I saw this Gen Z movement, I saw 7 days of Saba Saba.
Yeah.
That word coming back is such a powerful word.
Yeah.
My grandfather was actually part of the movement of that Saba Saba.
See, I remember.
A very pivotal...
Those were the politicians. Kenneth Matiba, Charles Robia were the cornerstones of the rebellion at that time, because they were well-known politicians who had been ministers.
Yes.
Joined by Martin Shikuku.
Yep.
Joined by Ahmed Bamaris from Mombasa. Joined by Gashoka from Muranga. Joined by now the Young Turks, the Moites, who was chairman of Law Society, by the Orengos, by Imanyara, who was publisher of the Nairobi Law Monthly. The ladies in the movement are never mentioned. I was among the ladies, the young lawyers in the movement.
Give context
when
to somebody
they talk of young Turks, they even include names who are not in the movement and who are in civil society, came in the movement towards the end. I'll not say who are those. They omit Martha Karua and bring in whatever. Yeah, but once in a while they do, right? But they normally don't include my name.
What?
And I was there like nobody's business.
Well, Martha, again, pause a bit on Martha's story. Or actually, we're not even pausing. It's intertwined.
Yeah.
What is Saba Saba? Explain to a generation that may be watching this in the future or has never heard of Saba Saba. What's the genesis of Saba Saba? What was happening? What's the climate in the country like? What was this movement all about?
It is a time, Kenya is by law, this time not de facto, but by law, a one-party state. Meaning it's illegal to form an alternative political movement. It means the registrar of societies will not even register, not just a political party, a movement that will stand up against the government. Therefore, Dr. Timothy Njoya tried to register the Moral Alliance for Peace, where he had recruited me and Professor Wangari Maathai and others. They refused to register, and Njoya announced that it will be registered in heaven. So these are the days when politicians come together, and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, I was forgetting, was also a cornerstone of that movement.
And what about Mwai Kibaki?
And no, Mwai Kibaki is a minister.
At this time?
In government.
At this time?
He's Minister for Health, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So he's not in it. These are politicians who are not in government and are out of the mainstream like I am now. You know, they're not in parliament.
I get it.
Okay?
Yes.
And if it is a politician like Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, he has literally been banned from politics. Sometimes even under house arrest.
Wow.
So that he cannot even move from his Bondo home and come to Nairobi.
Listen to what you've just said there.
Yeah.
House arrest.
Yeah.
House arrest, for context, sounds like what Mandela went through after coming out of Robben Island. And
what Besigye endures in Uganda, or sometimes Bobby Wine. But Besigye is the one who's had most house arrest. It means police are stationed, you can't leave. I've gone to visit Besigye's wife, Winnie Byanyima.
Yeah.
We found Besigye in, but there were police So I can leave. I can come in and leave. Winnie, who is an international civil servant, can go in and out. Besigye can't.
He's not allowed to leave the confines of his house.
So there's no law barring you, but they stage there. It's like someone coming with a boulder to stop you from leaving your gate.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the house arrest.
Man, this is what Raila's father went through.
Yeah.
One of the founding fathers of this nation of
Kenya.
This
nation. Yeah.
Man.
So that even when he's not in detention, he's also not free. So
so there is context again. One, it is illegal to form
another movement. And the law is being abused, that even at your own home, even when you invite your own relatives, if there are more than 9 people, the chief can come in and demand a license. I remember a PS from Western Kenya who was arrested. He went home for the weekend and had relatives and friends and was arraigned in court for having an illegal meeting in your own house. And it's your relatives and 9 people. Those are the days. So for politicians to hold a press conference, well covered by the Standard and the Nation, where you are telling the people, let's meet at Kamukunji.
That was...
They are daring the government. It's a protest. It's saying, you are not obeying the Constitution, which guarantees me my freedom of association, my freedom to express myself, and my freedom of movement. And tomorrow I'm going to Kamukunji on the appointed date. We are going to Kamukunji. So that is the beginning of a public protest.
I get it.
No longer private. Just like the Gen Zs through their demonstration was the beginning of a very public, peaceful protest. Even the Kamukunjis was a peaceful protest. Thuggery introduced through police who brutalized, arrested, killed people. Yeah, just like today. The oppressor uses brute force, murder, mayhem, and injury to frighten people from ever expressing their dissent.
These guys need to try new tactics. Clearly, they're not working. But they're still victims from that. Even till this time, we've had
Today,
victims.
they are still doing this. They are abducting, even when we have a 2010 constitution, where our human rights are not only entrenched, but are expressly provided for in better terms, in concrete terms, better than it was before.
So this begins the movement that leads us to democracy or multipartism.
That brought in multipartism.
What was your role? What were you
1992.
doing in terms of this movement
on the
at
day
that
of
time?
Saba Saba?
Yes.
When our colleagues were arrested, issuing statements, going to deliver them at KTN, which was then at Jogo, not Jogo, what is this building? Nyayo House. Nyayo House. And I remember my sister who very much looks like me, taking the statements. I was left in the car with a colleague, and my sister goes up to whatever, and she told me when she inadvertently went to the CID, to the NSIS, as it then was office. And when they saw her, they thought it was me, and they were startled. Then they realized it's not me, and she said she was looking for the KTN office. She was going to drop the statement. You
know, think about how crazy that is. On one level, you're going to KTN, but on lower ground is the torture chambers.
Yeah. But also the offices were, their offices were up there, so she went to the wrong office. But she delivered, so KTN, you will find statements of us condemning their arrests.
Wow.
And then calling the lawyers, because they were taken each to their upcountry homes. More or less the way South Africa was taking arrested freedom fighters to their Bantustans.
Yes.
So Shamala and Chukuku in Kakamega, Orengo in Siaya, Mwite in Kiambu, Imanyara in Meru, that kind of thing. That's how they
Matiba and Raila in jail.
Yeah, yeah. Those ones were in detention already. Matiba, Rubia, and Raila had been detained just before the Saba Saba. So all these others have been put in. And
for under house arrest?
They were taken to their not to homes, to police stations.
Oh, to police stations.
Yes.
I get it.
So we were busy now calling the lawyers to rally them to appear for them.
Okay.
That Monday, because it was a Saturday. Sunday, we are calling everybody so that they can appear for them on Monday. Now, on Monday, it's not just lawyers who appeared in solidarity.
The public.
It was the public.
Nice.
So the Kanu government, without knowing, convened rallies in all the centers in the country because it's a sensitization.
Yes.
So the public protest now became big. The Gen Z one is
national.
going through the social media.
Yes.
This one through the government radio announcing these people are appearing in court. They are here. So rallies were convened and people went in support. It was a show of defiance by the nation in all the areas these people were sent. So that was the official beginning of the protest. So this Saba Saba by Gen Z is very apt. This is an open protest to say, obey the law, obey the Constitution. We are sovereign, we the people. Let the state work in our best interest, not in the interest of a few ruling elite. It is the call for accountability to the people of Kenya, who was the owners of the state. Yeah.
Martha, this story is incredible. Are you still, so now, is your practice still going on at this time?
My practice at that time, I'm still practicing. So on Monday, that Sunday, I go to see Moite in Kiambu. And I remember meeting with his mom there. She was then alive. And Monday, we appear for him and he's released. Okay? And lawyers appear for all the others and they are released on bail. I can't remember how those cases went, but they eventually fizzled out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How does the story then
and
progress
that
from here?
evening, that Saturday evening, more than people getting frightened, I remember women coming to my house. I used to live near the State House. The late Wambui Otieno, Christine Nyageda Mira, Jael Bogo, many women came to my house. They are asking me, what are we going to do? These people are under arrest. What are we going? They want to know how they can help. You know? Kenyans were looking to help. And I've told you already, when as Law Society leadership, we were fined. The public paid. We don't even know who paid. Yeah.
I mean, 24 million shillings was raised on social media with the Gen Zs in less than 24 hours.
I want to tell you, if there was a social media of that day, we would have raised more than we could use. Because there were more people trying to pay and the registry telling them it's already paid. You know? People had come from all over the country on the day of judgment.
Wow.
In solidarity.
So does your life go back to usual after Saba Saba, or is this the new normal?
No, we now, you see, the Ford movement starts.
Yes.
And we are upping our calls as Law Society to call for open democratic space, for enlargement of democratic space, respect for human rights and the rule of law. It sounds like politics, but it's really what the Law Society is enjoined to do under the Law Society Act. And I'm seeing the president of the Law Society Faith doing exactly that. Help in the administration of justice, help the society. Going to bail out people who have been unfairly arrested, peaceful demonstrators who are arrested for expressing themselves.
Martha, I'm loving this so much. Just part of this one is special to me because you explained to me my history. I'm young at this time. I'm less than 10 years old. And my grandfather is in this mix, but I don't understand because
you
of lack of
don't even understand
yes,
it.
because of, again, but what you've said there, when you said Ford, he went to form Ford Asili. But before that, I remember there was a unity of Ford where all of them were together. Is this what you're calling, explain this Ford movement.
Ford has not been registered. We are still in 1990. Okay? There are those detentions of Matiba, Rubia. Then after a while, they detained 3 lawyers.
What?
Mohammed Ibrahim, who is judge of the court of the Supreme Court right now. They detain John Kaminwa, Dr. John Kaminwa. whose crime is to represent unpopular clients. I think Mohammed Ibrahim had filed a case against the screening of Somalis in getting IDs, the discrimination.
Yes.
I think that's what had put him in the radar. And then he was in the farm of Waruju and Moite was very political.
Yes.
And chairman of Law Society. So he's almost been detained for himself and on behalf of the farm.
Yes.
Then Imanyara is the publisher and founder of the Nairobi Law Monthly. Then I would say the most authoritative paper that would talk about people's, would express and criticize the government openly.
Is Bidan Bogwa part of this movement?
Bidan Bogwa had his day at the Beyond magazine.
Yes.
But he is with the progressive forces, yes. So these people are detained. When the lawyers are detained, they have now touched a roadmap for us lawyers.
Now.
So as young lawyers, we start daily activism. That's before Moite became chairman. It's now the council we are fighting. We take it upon ourselves as young lawyers to down tools, and we call for a boycott of the courts.
No way.
It means that now we are not earning a living because we are not going to court for our clients. And we boycott daily, and cases are going on, so our cases are not there, but quite the young lawyers are enforcing the boycott. And I want to single out Judge Mohammed Sheikh Amin, the late. Sheikh Amin, when lawyers would go and want to prosecute their cases, and he sees it's cases of people who are in a boycott, he would just tell them, wait for your colleagues and mark the case,
nice.
stood over generally. He had a history of coming from, being part of the movement in his younger days as during the Mau Mau.
He's like, what a solidarity.
These were the active people of Asian origin.
Nice.
Like the Firoses, the Achruram Kapila, the Justice Sheikh Amin. So he would tell them, go wait for your colleagues. but there are judges who would go on.
Yeah.
But generally, the young lawyers were, ensuring the boycott. So we boycotted the courts, and every day we would have an activity, statements, what. After 21, on the 21st day, the lawyers were released. We tasted victory. And when you taste victory, it energizes you.
It adds
so we went on fighting for the remaining detainees and for new violation of rights. Because even when they release the lawyers, remember they are being called worldwide amnesty facts because the lawyers are being jailed just because of being lawyers. So you detain clients and you detain lawyers because they are acting for clients who are unpopular in quotes with the government.
Yes.
And a lawyer has sworn an oath to protect the rule of law. So the fact is they would receive the calls also from friendly embassies, like the American ambassador then, Smith Hemstone, was very vocal, the German ambassador, Bad Mutzenberg. There were a few who were very vocal. And the lawyers were released. So we became energized and went on, and we are now openly calling for a multi-party, a return to multi-party. The enlarged democratic space is allow other parties to be registered, repeal Section 2A of the Constitution. So this is 1990, going to 91.
Yes.
And 91 December, KANU does a 360-degree turn, and they repeal Section 2A.
Wow.
And that way,
the birth of multipartism.
Multi-party democracy comes.
And does that therefore mean that when the next election is going to be at the same time?
The next election is going to be in 1992 December. That's the end of the term, so it is known. But they start arguing, although Moi has already served more than 10 years, they say under the new clause, which has a term limit, he will now start afresh in 92. That's how now he gets to serve up to 2.
For 10 years.
Yeah.